Hi, family. This is day 95 of our Reading Through the Bible Together in a Year series. Today we're in the book of 1 Kings, or Melachim, 1 Kings 3 through 5. And so Solomon is now, or Shlomo, love that. Solomon is officially king over both the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, right? It's united currently. It's Israel and Judah. He's the king. And the first two things that he's done is he's wiped out a couple of these guys that were evil in David's day, that worked under David. And so kind of an odd way to start his kingship. But we'll see how his kingship continues on today. Shlomo made a marriage alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into David's city until he had finished building his own house, Yahweh's house, and the wall around Jerusalem. However, the people sacrificed in the high places because there was not yet a house built for Yahweh's name. Shlomo loved Yahweh, walking in the statutes of David his father, except that he sacrificed and burned incense in the high places. The king went to Giv'on to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. Shlomo offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. In Giv'on, Yahweh appeared to Shlomo in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask for what I should give you." Shlomo said, "You have shown to your servant David, my father, great loving kindness, because he walked before you in truth, in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with you. You have kept for him this great loving kindness, that you have given him a son to sit on his throne as it is today. Now, Yahweh, my God, you have made your servant king instead of David, my father. I am just a little child. I don't know how to go out or to come in. Your servant is among your people which you have chosen, a great people that can't be numbered or counted for multitude. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours?" This request pleased the Lord, that Shlomo had asked this thing. God said to him, "Because you have asked this thing, and have not asked for yourself long life, nor have you asked for riches for yourself, nor have you asked for the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern justice, behold, I have done according to your word. Behold, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has been no one like you before you, and after you none will arise like you. I have also given you that which you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there will not be any among the kings like you for all your days. If you will walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days." Shlomo awoke, and behold, it was a dream. Then he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of Yahweh's covenant, and offered up burnt offerings, offered peace offerings, and made a feast for all his servants. Then 2 women, who were prostitutes, came to the king and stood before him. The one woman said, "O my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house. I delivered a child with her in the house. The 3rd day after I delivered, this woman delivered also. We were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, just us 2 in the house. This woman's child died in the night because she lay on it. She arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while your servant slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. When I rose in the morning to nurse my child, behold, he was dead. But when I had looked at him in the morning, behold, it was not my son whom I bore. The other woman said, No, but the living one is my son, and the dead one is your son. The first one said, No, but the dead one is your son, and the living one is my son. They argued like this before the king. Then the king said, One says, This is my son who lives, and your son is the dead one. And the other says, No, but your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one. The king said, Get me a sword. So they brought a sword before the king. The king said, Divide the living child in 2, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then the woman whose the living child was spoke to the king, for her heart yearned over her son, and she said, O my lord, give her the living child, and in no way kill him. But the other said, He shall be neither mine nor yours, divide him. Then the king answered, Give the first woman the living child, and definitely do not kill him. She is his mother. All Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do justice. King Shlomo was king over all Israel. These were the princes whom he had: Azariah, the son of Zadok the priest, Elichoreph, and Achiah, the sons of Shisha, scribes, Jehoshaphat, the son of Achilud, the recorder, Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the army, Zadok and Abiathar were priests, Azariah, the son of Nathan, was over the officers, Zavud, the son of Nathan, was chief minister, the king's friend, Achishar was over the household, and Adoniram, the son of Avda, was over the men subject to forced labor. Shlomo had 12 officers over all Israel who provided food for the king and his household. Each man had to make provision for a month in the year. These are their names: Ben Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben Deker in Makaz, in Sha'alvim, Bet Shemesh and Elon Bet Hanan, Ben Chesed in Arubot, Sokol and all the land of Chefer belonged to him. Ben Avinadav in all the height of Dor, he had Tafat, Shlomo's daughter, as a wife. Ba'ana, the son of Achilud, in Ta'anak and Megiddo, and all Bet She'an, which is beside Zeratan, beneath Yetzrael, from Bet She'an to Avel Meholah, as far as beyond Yokmeam. Ben Gever, in Ramot Gilead, the towns of Yair, the son of Manasseh, which are in Gilead, belonged to him, and the region of Argov, which is in Bashan, 60 great cities with walls and bronze bars, belonged to him. Achinadav, the son of Yido, in Machanaim, Achimaatz in Naphtali, he also took Bazemath, the daughter of Shlomo, as a wife. Ba'ana, the son of Hushai, in Osher and Be'alot. Yehoshaphat, the son of Paruah, in Yisachar. Shimei, the son of Elah, in Benjamin. Gever, the son of Uri, in the land of Gilead, the country of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and of Og, king of Bashan, and he was the only officer who was in the land. Yehuda and Yisrael were numerous as the sand which is by the sea in multitude, eating and drinking and making merry. Shlomo ruled over all the kingdoms from the river to the land of the Philistines, and to the border of Egypt. They brought tribute and served Shlomo all the days of his life. Shlomo's provision for one day was 30 cores of fine flour, 60 measures of meal, 10 head of fat cattle, 20 head of cattle out of the pastures, and 100 sheep, in addition to deer, gazelles, roebucks, and fattened fowl. For he had dominion over all on this side of the river, from Tifsah even to Gaza, over all the kings on this side of the river, and he had peace on all sides around him. Yehuda and Yisrael lived safely, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, from Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Shlomo. Shlomo had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. Those officers provided food for King Shlomo and for all who came to King Shlomo's table, every man in his month. They let nothing be lacking. They also brought barley and straw for the horses and swift steeds to the place where the officers were, each man according to his duty. God gave Shlomo abundant wisdom, understanding, and breadth of mind, like the sand that is on the seashore. Shlomo's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east and all the wisdom of Egypt, for he was wiser than all men, wiser than Etan the Ezrachite, Heman, Kalkol, and Darda, the sons of Machol. And his fame was in all the nations all around. He spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs numbered 1,005. He spoke of trees, from the cedar that is in Lebanon, even to the hyssop that grows out of the wall. He also spoke of animals, of birds, of creeping things, and of fish. People of all nations came to hear the wisdom of Shlomo, sent by all kings of the earth who had heard of his wisdom. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants to Shlomo, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the place of his father, and Hiram had always loved David. Shlomo sent to Hiram, saying, "You know that David my father could not build a house for the name of Yahweh, his God, because of the wars which were around him on every side, until Yahweh put his enemies under the soles of his feet. But now Yahweh my God has given me rest on every side. There is no enemy and no evil occurrence. Behold, I intend to build a house for the name of Yahweh my God, as Yahweh spoke to David my father, saying, Your son, whom I will set on your throne in your place, shall build the house for my name. Now therefore command that cedar trees be cut for me out of Lebanon. My servants will be with your servants, and I will give you wages for your servants according to all that you say. For you know that there is nobody among us who knows how to cut timber like the Sidonians." When Hiram heard the words of Shlomo, he rejoiced greatly and said, "Blessed is Yahweh today, who has given to David a wise son to rule over this great people." Hiram sent to Shlomo, saying, "I have heard the message which you have sent to me. I will do all your desire concerning timber of cedar, and concerning cypress timber. My servants will bring them down from Lebanon to the sea. I will make them into rafts to go by sea to the place that you specified to me, and will cause them to be broken up there, and you will receive them. You will accomplish my desire in giving food for my household. So Hiram gave Shlomo cedar timber and cypress timber according to all his desire. Shlomo gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat for food to his household, and 20 cores of pure oil. Shlomo gave this to Hiram year by year. Yahweh gave Shlomo wisdom as he promised him. There was peace between Hiram and Shlomo, and the two of them made a treaty together. King Shlomo raised a levy out of all Israel, and the levy was 30,000 men. He sent them to Lebanon 10,000 a month by courses. For a month they were in Lebanon, and 2 months at home. And Adoniram was over the men subject to forced labor. Shlomo had 70,000 who bore burdens, and 80,000 who were stonecutters in the mountains. Besides Shlomo's chief officers who were over the work, 3,300 who ruled over the people who labored in the work. The king commanded, and they cut out large stones, costly stones, to lay the foundation of the house with worked stone. Shlomo's builders and Hiram's builders and the Gevalites cut them and prepared the timber and the stones to build the house. So 2 of these stories today are what we totally remember from our childhood Bible classes, if we had childhood Bible classes. But we remember the story of Solomon asking God for wisdom, and we remember the 2 women that come to Solomon and say, this lady fell asleep on her baby, and the baby died, and she took my baby, and whose baby is it? And Solomon's like, give me a sword, I'm going to cut the living baby in half and give them both half. And the woman who it's actually her son says, no, give it to the other one, don't kill the baby. And the one who laid on her baby and killed it said, like, if I can't have it, neither of us can have it, go ahead and kill the child. And I don't know what to think about that story. I mean, I think I've just been told my whole life that it's a super wise move on Solomon's account. I can't necessarily come up with a better way to distinguish, but I don't know. Personally, the idea of like, well, I'm just going to kill this baby, I don't know. I guess it's wise. I guess it's a good act. It's called a wise act. Who am I to argue that it's called wise in the eyes of all of Israel? It's kind of a weird story, just like dropped in here, like of all of the things that we could be shown how wise Solomon was, this is the story that's chosen. So I'm going to have to meditate on that story. I'm going to have to think about it. What could it be referring to? What could it be pointing at? What parallels might there be with other things in Israel's history that could be the reason why this story is chosen? I don't know. I have to think about that. But let's talk a little bit about Solomon's request to God, because it's a beautiful thing. Solomon doesn't actually ask for wisdom per se. I know that the translation that I read, and maybe some of the other translations that you read, says that Solomon asks for understanding. And that's close. What the word is there, and I put it in parentheses in the reading, is Shema. And what we know about the word Shema in the past is it means to listen and obey simultaneously. And so, like, listen, it's Shema, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Thou shalt love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and with all your strength. Like, that's Deuteronomy 6:4 or 4:6, one of those. I think it's 6:4, 4 and 5. But that's like the prayer that Jews pray. Like, that's the main one. That's the number one command that Jesus says is important, right? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and soul, mind, strength. That is the beginning is Shema, O Israel. It's hear, O Israel. Listen, O Israel. Obey. Listen, obey. Hear. It's all the same word, Shema. And that's the word to hear, that Solomon wants a heart that Shemas. Solomon wants a heart which, depending on what he means by heart, because it could very well mean that heart is like the willpower, the heart, the willpower. He wants willpower that hears, that listens, that obeys. He wants a heart that listens so that he can discern what is good and what is evil, right? So for justice's sake, right? What is justice? It's the balancing of the scales. It's those who have been treated poorly are lifted back up into a state of goodness. Those who have been given more than they deserve are brought down to a just level, right? It's justice. He wants a heart that listens, a heart that obeys, a heart that discerns, a heart that listens, hears. And I love that. It's different than wisdom in the sense of intellect, right? He's not just like a super smart guy, which he is a super smart guy. He doesn't just have all the knowledge, but he does have a lot of knowledge. But he asks for a heart that listens. And I think we should totally think about that in our own selves. How should we be like Solomon? Now, Solomon's not going to be great forever. He's building wealth, he's building the temple, he's making Israel great. But he won't always stay that way, and we're going to see that in future readings. But at this moment, what is it that we should be asking God for? Should it be wisdom in the sense of like, oh, give me understanding so that I make good choices in my life about what I should be doing and how I get to heaven? Or is it Solomon says, I'm a child. I don't know how to lead these people. I care about these people. I don't know how to lead them well. What I need is a heart that listens. What I need is a willpower that is built on listening to people, listening to problems, hearing the word of God, listening to God. I want a heart that listens to the environment, that listens to the situation. I don't want to just think I have all the right answers. I want to be able to hear so that I can discern the right answer between what is the good and evil decision to make. So take that with you. Think about that. If you want to be like Solomon, and the Bible is, or the author is praising Solomon in this moment for his request. God praises him. God praises him for his desire for listening and understanding. So God gives him wealth and long life and all of these things because God is impressed. It pleases Yahweh that Solomon asks for a heart that listens. So how are you going to do that? You want to please Yahweh? Do you want to please God? I hear that all the time in prayers and here at church, and like, let us be pleasing to you, God. You want to be pleasing to God, you should ask for a heart that listens. And what is it that a heart that listens does? It listens. It doesn't speak. If you run that into the book of James, bridle the tongue. Don't be quick to words, but be quick to hear. Right? A heart that listens. Be a person who listens. Do some priestly listening. Listen to those around you. And then if you truly are listening and you are putting your pride aside and you're listening, then you'll know what decisions to make, how to discern between good and evil, and you will be a leader in the way that God has designed you to be. So there's some pastoral stuff for you, and I hope you take that with you as you have a wonderful day.